Good morning, students. I hope your studies at home are going on. Please pay full attention towards your studies and turn the period of lockdown into a golden opportunity for you. As you know, Chapter 1 Reproduction in Organisms is going on. Today, our topic is sexual reproduction. In our previous video, we discussed about asexual reproduction and its means. Now, what is sexual reproduction? The answer is in front of you. Sexual reproduction involves formation of male and female gametes, either by the same individual or by the different individuals of the opposite sex. These gametes fuse to form the zygote. Zygote develops to form the new individual or new organism. One thing is clear from this is formation and fusion of gametes occur in sexual reproduction. Now, advantages of sexual reproduction. There are some advantages of sexual reproduction mentioned here. Variation. Due to fusion of gametes from different parents, genetic recombination takes place, which creates variation. Second one, evolution. Variation being a major factor of natural selection, therefore it plays an important role in evolution. Next one, adaptation. The offspring produced due to sexual reproduction adapt better to the changing environmental condition. Next one, vigor and vitality. Genetic recombination provides vigor and vitality to the offspring. Now, differences between asexual and sexual reproduction. As you may see, asexual reproduction is a uniparental process, whereas sexual reproduction is usually biparental process. Gametes are not formed in asexual reproduction, whereas formation of gametes and gamete transfer generally occur in sexual reproduction. No fertilization in asexual reproduction, whereas fertilization takes place in sexual reproduction. Only mitosis involves in asexual reproduction, whereas meiosis and mitosis both involves in sexual reproduction. No variation in asexual reproduction, whereas variation occur in sexual reproduction. Offsprings are genetically identical, which may called as a clone in asexual reproduction, whereas in sexual reproduction offsprings are genetically different. Generally, most of the lower organisms, plant and animals, prefer asexual reproduction, whereas some fungi as well as all higher plants prefer sexual reproduction. Now, phases of the life cycle. As we discussed in our previous video, there are three phases of life cycle. Number 1, juvenile phase. Number 2, reproductive phase. Number 3, senescent phase. First phase is juvenile phase. It is the pre-reproductive phase in the life cycle of an individual. It is the period of growth between the birth of an individual up to reproductive maturity. Juvenile phase is also known as vegetative phase in plants. This phase is of different duration in different organisms. For example, different plants like biennial plant, perennial plant or annual plant, they possess different vegetative phase, different duration of vegetative phase. Next phase of life, reproductive phase. It starts after juvenile phase. The organism reproduces offspring during this phase. The early time period of reproductive phase is called puberty. Sex organs developed and mature during puberty. In higher plants, appearance of flower is indication of sexual maturity. Here is is the two terms related with reproductive phase. Actually, the term is neoteny or pedogenesis. Lower organisms like amphibians, there is a stage which is called as larval stage, which comes between child and adult stage. So each and every organism turn into larval stage and then achieve adult morphology, and this process of conversion is called as metamorphosis. Here is a here term related with that neoteny, retention of larval characters in the sexually mature individual, or development of adult characters by the larval form. Axolotl larva of salamander ambiostoma is example of neoteny, whereas pedogenesis, reproduction in the young or larval stage, for example axolotl larva. Now, sexually there are two type of plants. One is monocarpic plants, second one is polycarpic plants. Now, first monocarpic plant. These plants flower only once in their life. After flowering, they produce fruit and die. All annual plants like wheat, rice, and biennial plants, for example carrot, radish, are monocarpic. Few perennial plants are also monocarpic. Few plants shows unusual flowering phenomenon, for example bamboo species and strobilanthes. Bamboo species flower only once in their lifetime, generally after 50 to 100 years, produce a large number of fruits and die. Next one, strobilanthes, Nila Kuranzi, flower only once in 12 years. The plant flowered during September to October. Last time in 2018 it flowered. Next type, polycarpic plant. These are perennial plants which after reaching maturity flower every year in particular season. For example mango, apple, grapes vine, jackfruit and orange. Very few perennial plants bear flowers throughout the year. Example China rose. Interflowering period of polycarpic plant is used for building up resources and called as a recovery period. We can't categorize this period under vegetative phase. Now in animal breeding, on the basis of timing of breeding, animals are of two types. Number one, seasonal breeders. Number two, continuous breeders. Number one, they reproduce at particular period of the year, such as frog, lizard, most of the birds, deer, etc. Whereas continuous breeder, these animals continue to breed throughout their life, sexual maturity. Examples are honeybee, poultry, rabbit, mice, cattle, etc. In females of continuous breeder, there are cyclic change in ovaries, accessory reproductive ducts, and in hormones during the reproductive phase. So on the basis of that changes, these are of two type. Number one, oestrus cycle. Number two, menstrual cycle. Now oestrus cycle, it occur in non-primate mammals such as cow, deer, lion, tiger, dog, etc. It consists of a short period of oestrus or heat followed by an anoestrus period or passive period. Sex urge is increased during oestrus period. There is no blood loss in oestrus cycle. Next one is menstrual cycle. It occur in primates, for example monkey, human beings, etc. This cycle consists of menstrual phase, proliferative phase and secretory phase. No increase in sex urge during menstruation. Blood flow out in the last few days of this cycle. So this one is very important topic. 2 marks or 3 marks question may arise from here, so please revise this and write down in your copy. Third and last phase of life cycle is senescent phase. It begins from the end of the reproductive phase. The terminal irreversible stage of aging is called senescent. This is the last phase of the lifespan and ultimately leads to death. In next video we'll discuss about events in sexual reproduction, so please revise this video and make notes in your copies. Goodbye, have a nice day.